It's like, oh my God.
I was writing my um daily news brief, and it's changed a little bit. Um, it was going to be about the bipartisan push against it, and I'm guessing that has a lot to do with why he doesn't want to confront that, because it was going to be bad for him. But here's the thing, don't they need to do it anyways? Like, this is what we didn't do in 2021 or whatnot. I mean, we were busy with COVID and all the big bills that needed to be passed, but we didn't protect ourselves. And so it's like, okay, he's giving us 90 days to protect ourselves from himself, right?
Yeah.
So like, we need to do that. It's not a pause. Like, we don't need to pause on the work. Like, Congress still needs to do their job. Now you have more time to make sure that he doesn't do this ever again.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely. Well, I'm wondering whether, I mean, first of all, the bond market, I don't know that much about this stuff, but like the bond market was going to a very, 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 very bad place this morning. And I think there are probably people who went to him and were like, "You're about to own a depression." And I also wonder whether, because they're negotiating this House, the budget resolution, and there were a bunch of no votes, and I'm wondering whether he traded with them and said, "Support
right?
my budget, and I will roll back the tariffs for 90 days." Uh, I suspect that's probably what happened, because I think Republican lawmakers are freaking out about this, rightly, as they should be.
Yeah, it's not a fun position for them to be. And I know that they have we're right now, just FYI folks, like, my team is running a hands off our Medicaid campaign, which is trending number 5 on Twitter. And I know everybody hates Twitter. I get it. I'm not a fan. But that's where Republicans spend their time. So I'm pretty proud that we still have enough power in the belly of the beast. So if you want, join in, hashtag hands off our Medicaid, because we're worried about them doing some cuts very, very, very soon. Um,
We should be.
so why should we be worried? That's the thing, is like, I remember when I was saying that he's going to use any kind of tactic, so it can be racist tactics, which is like where he said it didn't even it made no sense whatsoever, of course, no logical sense. He said, uh, I won't repeat his word, but undocumented immigrants, um, they are stealing money from Social Security.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like, how are they stealing? So the idea is they're taking people's Social Security numbers that they're dead, and then they're filing all the paperwork and getting the Social Security. And I'm like, if that were possible, which is, I don't see many proven records of that ever happening. um, that would be the fraud would be on closing that gap. And why would that be able to happen? And that'd be a little bit different. I don't think there's that many advanced people, but I remember some people were like, this seems like fear mongering. But the same thing, we went through the same thing with Project 2025. I mean, Project 2025 hundreds of times responded to my posts calling me a liar and blah, blah, blah. And of course, everything we said about them ever was not only true but understated.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you think is going to happen now, like, with these cuts? Are they gonna, I mean, it just drives me mad, because it doesn't do anything but hurt people. It's not about saving money. I don't understand it. I don't get why people want to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. It doesn't make any sense to me. And also, I don't know how they can cut Social Security, because friends of mine who are also readers of you, um, who have been paying into it for 60, sometimes 70 years, um, and it's their money. So like, how are they're basically trying to steal their money? I don't get it. Um,
Right.
I,
Well,
I don't.
can I? Well, let me just tell you, they're not going to cut Social Security in the way that like they would pass a bill in Congress and it would be cut, because then we could say, how the hell are you going to, what are you talking about? Like, you can't cut something that we paid into. But what they're doing is they are starving it. They're hollowing it out from the inside, and this is getting very little press attention. I don't know why. But a few days ago, the news broke that they're about to do another round of layoffs at the Social
Mm.
Security Administration. They've already laid off 7,000 people out of 55,000. It was already wildly short staffed. They laid off 7,000 people, and immediately we started getting news reports of like, it's in chaos. The website crashed 5 times in a month. All of these, like, wait times going up, all this stuff. And now they're going to do another round of layoffs, mostly in the IT department. And what I'm going to make a post later today. I had another communication with my Social Security Administration informant who worked there for 20 years and left right after Doge started. And she was like, people don't understand, like, this is, I don't mean to be like, I don't want to be a fearmonger, but I think that Social Security, we could lose it. And it's not that they're going to steal our money and say we're stealing your money. It's just that, as I said in the video I made about this, if you are if you're the main funder to a hospital and you decide you don't want to fund the hospital anymore, you don't have to come out and say like I'm cutting my funding. You just stop paying rent on the building. You
Right,
stop paying the staff. You stop paying the power bills, and you have essentially killed the hospital without killing the hospital.
right.
And this is, I really, really fear for what is going to come if they go through with this next round of layoffs. Um, and according to my informant, it's morale is very, very low there, and it's already crazy. And she's very, very pessimistic. Um, and I think all we can do, because I don't want to just leave it on a low note, but like, first of all, keep making us stink. Like, we have to keep making so much noise about this that even Republican lawmakers are like, man, we better pull them back on those staffing cuts,
Right.
you know? But like, why are they doing it? Because they want to privatize everything.
Yeah.
And because Republicans operate on the philosophy of break government completely so that everything is privatized. And, the people who fall through the cracks, can I curse on this? Fuck them.
Sure.
That's always been their philosophy. You name me a time in history when Republicans have cared about the people who fall through the cracks, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
can't.
yet, people keep voting for them who depend on those programs. I don't know why. It is the great mystery of my lifetime. I just don't understand. Do you understand it? Do you have an explanation?
No, just the I guess the social reason, as in using social issues, I'll call it, to wedge in between them, where they prioritize social issues or
Right,
things that surround religion or sex or lifestyle or something like that, and they put that as this moral burden that you
right,
have to give up the fact that you get affordable health care so that we can really you get gay marriage. Like,
right, right, right. Trans
what
people.
does that have to do with you? Like, what are you
Right.
talking about? Don't you want affordable health care? Not if they can. And it doesn't make any sense, and they've been doing it forever.
They've been doing it
That's
forever. I was like, from Richard Nixon on, this has been the playbook. And like, Richard Nixon realized he wasn't going to win unless he pivoted to racism and crime. And it's
right.
still racism and crime. And yet, nothing gets fixed. They
Right.
never fix anything. It's like, I mean, you can see why the world thinks Americans are like a particular brand of stupid, because you really do. It is, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And you do see this large block of American voters who are just like, well, this time they really will make me rich. It's just, it's so sad and very frustrating. But I want to answer a question I saw in the comments, Scott, just to hop back for 1 second. Somebody was asking whether Trump reversed the tariffs on China. And
Oh,
my understanding is no, right? Those
no.
are still in place. And also, I believe some of the tariffs on Mexico and Canada are still in
Right.
place as well. It was his long list of reciprocal tariffs, including on the island that had no inhabitants, have been paused for 90 days. Just enough for stock traders to, make their money after
Right.
Trump's buy tweet this morning.
And he is increasing against China, apparently. Uh,
Yep.
and
Good
it's
luck
a
with that.
90-day pause. And we had just talked about at the beginning that it may be wise for us to still push hard to make sure that they pass laws to remove this power so it can never happen again, like we tried to get him banned from office several times, as he should have been. Um, but some of these decisions from some of these courts and everything is just so horrible. I'm not sure if it was just a game. I mean, everybody. I know some of the staffers for Republican senators, and to them, they didn't even know that they were actually going to follow through with it all. They had no idea that they were that Trump was going to do it, and a lot of folks told me that not only that, people inside the White House, advisors to him, people who work for him that aren't completely unhinged, um, had no idea
Oh yeah.
what the tariffs were going to be, who was going to be against, and none of them actually believed it'd be against all countries and penguins and seals. But like everybody did, they were surprised by it. Um, and I still don't understand the bullying tactic. It's not going to help, but I'm guessing he'll say with whatever deal it is, every deal he'll act like it's the best deal ever. We worked out this deal, but the corruption of it all is he'll work out something personal with it.
Yeah.
Like every single country in the world. Like, and
Yeah.
he's done business in over 100 countries in the world. People may not know that. You know, you can go to random places like Azerbaijan, Egypt, Israel. I mean, he sold to the Palestinian Authority. He sold alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was selling vodka in Russia. I
Yeah.
mean, people don't even know that Ivanka Trump's jewelry, she has pieces that go for $100,000,
Hmm. Yeah.
and sells in Dubai. They have the most expansive. I mean, they used to have ship full of their swag and garbage that would get shipped over from China to here, and we're talking about tens of thousands of shipments of things. Almost everything that they had was made in China. Um, it's interesting because he has a lot of experience in these countries doing business there, and so I can just see him using this as, hey, if you give my license to build or give me a licensing deal on this building. I mean, it can. Why wouldn't you do that if you were president of a different country, unless you're not corrupt, which I just don't see a lot of countries doing. So it seems pretty bad. I mean, you were hit hard immediately. You've heard from a lot of people that were hit hard by the stock market. I assume recently. I mean, this is a 7% bump so far and counting,
Hmm.
um, on the Dow Jones. Like that. That is. I mean, I would assume that you're right when he told people to invest this morning. He meant it, and there's a big boom all of a sudden, and now his friends are even richer because they knew he would do it. They
Yeah.
sell off whatever, and then they buy back in, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at let's go clap some more for this guy. I
Yeah.
mean, this is like the most. It's beyond. I don't know what the word is. I don't have a word for it. Super corruption. Like I haven't figured that out yet. But like it's beyond. It's a new level of corruption, beyond making money off of COVID. Beyond, like, it is next level. Like
Yeah.
we were not prepared for this.
No, and you know what would be great is if all the other countries in the world, I mean, it wouldn't be great. It'd be a fucking catastrophe for us. But if they banded together and said, no, you know what? None of us will do a deal with the United States. No
Hmm.
trade deals. You guys
Right.
are out until Donald Trump is out of the presidency. And then
Hmm.
we'll talk again. I don't know why they
That's.
don't do that. It'd be
I,
great. They'd impeach him in a month. I mean, it's like, actually, I hope someone is listening. I think it's a very good idea. Like, you want to extort? We'll extort. What does the United States have that we need that they're not already taking away at this point? Nothing. We're taking everything away. We have no leverage. Like, that's the thing when you isolate yourself from the world and make yourself a global pariah. People are like, okay, then screw you. Like,
right.
bye. It's a big planet. So yeah, I mean that is a great plan, and I hope that someone gets that to the whatever. I'm hoping that that's what they're thinking in all of these instances, whether it's the law firms or the universities or the press. If they would just band together, he can't fight them all, and yet you see these individualistic responses that are so stupid. the press, if they banded together and said, really, you're going to ban the AP, then you're banning all of us. You'll have no
Right.
press in your press office. That would
Easy.
stop it immediately. Like, this is so not, it's not easy, but there's a clear path,
Right.
and no one is taking it. I'm hoping that that starts to change. I mean, we are seeing change. We are seeing Democrats really up their game. So I'm hopeful that people can like get their shit together, but it would be nice if they would do it soon. Excuse my language,
No,
everybody.
it's hyenas. I've said this about Republicans, like, one hyena going after Trump, no, I guess a lion, if she's Scar, but if you get the pack or whatever it would be called, a bunch of hyenas all together, I mean, you can take them on, but
Yeah.
they just never do that. It's always just here or there, fake fights and things like that. There was a question from a reader who asked something interesting, and uh, I think it's related to this, but they said, "Is a national strike possible?" Because I thought it would be fascinating if other countries, and I was asking publicly for people, other countries to do this, ask for his resignation, be like, I'm not going to do business with this guy. Like, I can't trust this guy. Get him out. Um, I disagree wholeheartedly. One of the messaging aspects that they did when it was him and Pence in office, and we were running impeachment against him, um, was that Pence is worse, which was not true. It just
No,
wasn't true.
no,
There
not
there
at
is
all.
nobody worse than Trump. I know JD Vance is absolutely horrible, but if you've seen him in interviews, he gets trounced by reporters. Like, it is a completely different story. Um, so I think that the bubble that the cancer that Trump is, that spreads. I mean, you got to remove him from the equation before you can even reset, and then the weakness that Vance would exist. I assume that he'd be gone as well. He'd go out the door. I know that Speaker would be like. I get it. We would face that if we ever cross those bridges. We'd be lucky to cross those bridges and get rid
Right.
of them. But is a national strike possible? If so, what do you think would be a catalyst for it? Carol Ann, one of our subscribers, wanted to know what your thoughts were about that.
I mean, yeah, a national strike is entirely possible, and it is entirely likely that it will come to that. I mean,
Hmm.
you could easily argue that we've already crossed that line, but
Right.
Americans are very like they don't. I don't want to say that America as a whole is apathetic, but like, is that? I mean, it just is. Like, not us here, but
Hmm.
in order to get enough Americans engaged in a national strike, the sad truth is, I think a lot more pain needs to be experienced.
Hmm.
Um, I'll tell you what would do it very quickly. I think is if what people are saying is correct, and Social Security breaks down completely, and checks stop going out. I think we would see a national strike very quickly. I think then you would see a very massive movement. I think if they start disappearing, more popular figures, more known figures, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because they're already doing these things they're doing are so horrifying. We should be out in the streets. I mean, we were on Saturday, but we should be out in the streets every day over the people they've already disappeared. But there are Americans who will be like, well, they're students or they're from other countries, like, which is a horrible, horrible, out. But like
Right.
maybe if they start disappearing more citizens, I don't know, but ultimately, I fear that Americans are going to need to feel it in their pocketbooks very dramatically. And that's more than a stock market crash because that only affects some Americans. I mean, it really affects all Americans indirectly, but Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, going into a recession or depression, maybe then I hope so. I would do it tomorrow. I mean, like, but I'm an anti-consumerist anyway, so I don't really spend very much anything.
Mm.
um so it would not, I must say, it would not be super hard for me, but but for the general strike, staying home from work part, that is a huge sacrifice to ask of people, and that is going to require a situation where they feel that the benefits outweigh the very, very real sacrifices they'll have to make. So I'm not sure we're quite there yet. Feels like it to me, but it has to feel like it to enough of Americans. So that's my
What's the
answer.
demand on the back end? Is it removal from office? I mean, I don't know if there would be any other. Would there be anything smaller than that? I mean, I could see if unions banded together, AFL and all these other labor unions got together and they were like, we are going to do this because X happened. They crossed the line and there's a catalyst. What is their demand? You know, that's what I'm curious about. So like, let's say we get to that point, there's a national strike. What is there anything else besides like remove him from office that would be the point of it? Would it be changing legislation, preventing it from happening again, or would it just be the broader fact of he needs to go?
Well, that's a good question. And I'm not personally organizing one right now. There is a general strike website, which I have signed up with, but I have a problem because their list of demands is extremely long and it's just
Right,
not realistic. You're not going to get 50 things. It's like,
right,
it's a very unrealistic for a like strike. I think you have one or two requirements, and I think that the requirement maybe would be he gets impeached. We will stop when he is impeached or when he is removed. 25th Amendment him, whatever. Maybe with Social Security, it's even more modest. Like we will stop when you fully restore Social Security, although it's going to take a very long time to repair the damage they've done. So, yeah, well, I mean, that's all got to be hammered out. I know there's actually an organizing call tomorrow where they're going to talk about a general strike, and then one on Sunday with Pramil Jayapal as well, who, may be too progressive for some people, but like apparently the workshop is great. And it talks about things like general strikes. I'm going to put it in my newsletter tomorrow if people want to sign up. But we have to start talking about this kind of thing because we are going to end up in a situation where only the people are going to be able to stop this.
right.
Because he will ignore the Supreme Court. It's just a matter of time. And he is going to continue to push the envelope in ways that are just absolutely horrifying until we finally say, okay, enough. We can't do this for 4 years. It's absurd. So,
I'm with you. And then I read in your newsletter today about the Insurrection Act. I've heard it from hundreds of my readers. Like they're very worried about this study that April 20th that's supposed to come up and out. Um, you know, I've seen things like this pop up before,
yeah.
as to concerns, and I take all of these sort of things like you do seriously. Um, my thoughts on it is that um, usually, almost always, it's been specific, with what they do. And with him, it's I want to assemble people across the border. People have the concern that he wouldn't just focus on that, he'd focus on any crowd, so he'd focus on protests and things like that. But that involves a combination of, I think, National Guard and military, and a lot of people following orders that would be deployment into the
Yeah.
United States and things like that. Um, I don't. I have not seen any um, credible concern, and I've spoken to members of Congress about this. I have
Yeah.
not seen them be too concerned about it, but they are taking it serious. You know what I mean? They're just in case they're making sure and seeing what can be done about it. But is it something that you think is a credible threat right now, or is it something that we should be super worried about?
I mean, look, I am not a expert on almost anything except for activism. I will tell you that, like you, I have seen things like this periodically. I remember when there was the big Georgia is going to do something so that the election doesn't count. That was a Rachel Maddow story that like everybody was losing their minds over, and I got
Right.
like hundreds of emails about it. It was, of course, something that just didn't end up happening at all. Like, just didn't happen. There's been many, many. I was told the night before I went to my Tesla takedown, the big one on the 29th of March, that there were going to be Proud Boys there. I heard that
Right.
4 different places. No
Right.
Proud Boys. Like, so I worry a great deal when I receive the same email from 200 people and I don't know who the person is who's writing it. And like, they sound qualified, but I've never heard of them. And the thing they're saying is terrifying. Like, I finally read the email yesterday and I was like, Jesus, this is so dark. Like, this is dark. No wonder people are scared by it. But secondly, I'm not hearing anyone talk about it except for him and all the people he's terrified. And that always makes me a little suspicious. Like, if something like that is a real danger, you're going to hear about it from um, Mark Elias. You're going to hear about it from Jamie Raskin. You're going to hear about it from, I don't know, Robert Hubble, from you,
Hmm.
from the Pod Save guys. Out, you're going to hear about it all kinds of places. And
Right.
I haven't heard about this from anyone reputable except This one guy who I don't know is reputable. And plus his it's so extreme. I'm very leery of things that are spreading panic. I feel that they are generally um spread by someone with bad motives. And how do they help? Even in the worst case scenario, how do they help? How does it help to
Right.
scare us all that badly? And it does seem a little coincidental to me that it's supposed to happen the day after our next big protest.
Right.
So, okay, so now no one's going to show up to the protest because they're afraid. Like, I don't like these things, and they've happened with every protest we've had so far, starting with the very first 50-51 protest, where everybody was like, oh no, it's a trap. The Trump people are going to show up and they're going to arrest you. They're going to declare the Insurrection Act. I mean, come on. Like, we have to deal with what is in front of us, not what might happen. Because when we say that over and over again, it puts ideas in people's heads.
Right.
As someone said on Threads today, I hope people don't literally speak this into happening. We need to stop saying it. We need to stop spreading it. We need to stop giving it energy and just do the work. Plan our next protest. Do not obey in advance. I mean, could it happen? I mean, yes, a tree limb could fall on me and kill me today. It like anything can happen, basically. But I'm not going to walk around staring at trees all day. It's not practical.
Right.
So, you know, let's do our work. And maybe next week we'll be back here and you'll all be like, you were so wrong, but you won't be able to say it to me because apparently I will be in jail. But,
Right.
and you too, Scott.
See
So,
you there.
but
See you there.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just like, what are the likelihoods of that actually happening? It seems extremely slim.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the I'm not sure how many people are actually aware of it, but I looked into every single claim of election fraud, every single potential vote meddling or any kind of scheme that they could have had. I talked to people on the ground. I talked to governors' offices. Most of them were run by the close states in the election were run by Democratic governors. And there was just no evidence of widespread voter fraud, none.
No.
And I repeat this to my readers all the time. I say I hate to be a downer. There just was none,
Yeah.
and so like some people will say, well, if they did, then they got. Well, if they did, then this is where we're at. But what I saw was people getting some false hope from this, and I didn't want to. I hate
Yeah.
giving false hope because
For
I'm
sure.
like,
Yeah.
we just this is the election result. This is what we're dealing with. I promise we're still going to look into this stuff. That's what I said back then, and we did up till the day you were sworn in. And I'm sure that we'll still push it along the line, but we didn't talk about it publicly because I didn't want to distract people from the fact that we had to focus on. I mean, all this organizing and all the stuff you've done for years. I mean, it all builds up. And I remember the night that it happened, I had a choice. I was like, okay, I can do what I did in 2016, which is when I called for a revote, when I
Hmm.
called for an entire national vote. Then I called for states to vote because of the Russian interference. But this is a time when I'm running around the halls of Congress with my report on Russian ties that Trump had, and then presenting it to the White House and talking about it on MSNBC and sounding this alarm before the election, and it was too late. Um, and then, of course, it gets a focus November, December, and then it escalates from there. But this is the sort of stuff where you know I had tried that before, so I saw
Yeah.
people going that route too, and I was like, I know already, like that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it could have after he was sworn in. This is how messed up this is. Uh, After he was sworn in, Elon could have come out and said some scheme or whatever, and he'd stay in office. Like there's very few things that can be done at this point. But again, there was no widespread election fraud. So the key point there that I'm making is that uh, we didn't broadcast it because we didn't want people to have that sense of false hope. Same thing in reverse of the false
Yeah.
sense of fear.
Yeah.
We have enough stuff to be scared about, but I do promise you this, that the second that I hear our fingers are on the pulse, we're not going to take our off the ball, but the second we have something to be concerned about, um, it's going to be broadcast by us. Like we're not going to We're not going
Of
to not
course.
tell you about it.
Yeah.
We're not going to not warn you about it, prepare you for it, and do what we can about it. So, I do appreciate everybody sending me stuff about it, so that I can make sure that I look into it and whatnot. I just wanted to make sure that you address that on the longest response to your answer I
Yeah,
could
no,
possibly
but I
give.
think you make a really good point because it comes from the same place. They're both sort of conspiracy theories, and there's actually a content creator I've just discovered who I really like. She's on Threads, and I wish I could remember her profile name. I linked to her in my newsletter today, so everyone can go look today. But she did a couple of posts about how no, like he's not going to invoke the Insurrection Act. Like, calm down, that's nonsense, and explaining that. And she just posted something today saying, "Stop it with the election was stolen. No, it
Oh,
wasn't. We lost."
right,
And I do encourage people to sort of stick with the people who are not fanning conspiracy theories. I mean, I would love to believe that Elon stole the election, but he simply didn't. The exit polls 100% agreed with the results, and you can't fraud exit polls. People openly admitted that they voted for Trump, large numbers of them. And yeah, we lost, and we only lost by a small margin, but we did lose, and it fucking sucks. But as this woman says in her post, the whole world, every incumbent in the world lost last year. Like, we thought we were going to be different than a global phenomenon, and we weren't. We had the same experience as everybody else. Inflation killed them all. Um, it's not to say that the occasional conspiracy theory isn't true. I suppose they probably are from time to time, but
right,
I do not believe the election was stolen, because if it were, why wouldn't Elon Musk have stolen the Wisconsin election, which he claimed was the most important election in our nation's history and which he staked his entire reputation on?
right,
That's weird, right? So, you know, anyway, yeah, I really urge people to, as I said in the newsletter today, like, if you're going to take a moment to share something out to people, what I do is pause and think, is this going to help the person I'm sending it to, or is this going to make them more afraid? If it's going to
right,
make them more afraid, maybe I'll send them an invitation to like a get together instead. Or maybe I'll, like, try to spread courage, because we all are afraid. No one is immune from fear. And so I really try to be a harbinger of hope. And here's what we can do. And God forbid the worst should happen and something like that happened. Then we would talk about, okay, what do we do? But right now, that is a very, very huge if, and it's not happened. So what do we do today?
right. Yeah, that's I will say the only conspiracy turned true that I actually laughed about. It may have been mid 2016. Malcolm Nance and Grant Stern both talking to me about Russia, and I was studying the Russian business ties that Trump had, and that's when he started to change the subject. Anyways, that spun out of control into exactly where they pointed it, and they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
I bet that there are people involved. And I was like, well, I'll look into it. And I looked into it, and I'm like, there's like some people on his campaign, and you start poking, asking questions, and then you get threats from the Russian government, and you're like, I'm on the right track here. Anyways, so that is what you just asked, though, is the key question. Um, One of the main reasons, I mean, I always want to speak with you, but like one of the main reasons I wanted to get on today is people ask constantly, what can I be doing right now? What is most helpful right now? What do you recommend people focus on? What's coming up next for people to take part in?
Such a great question. Thank you for asking. Well, there's a lot of stuff coming up. So, right now, the Republicans probably today are going to be voting on this budget resolution, which is that the first steps in voting on a reconciliation bill. This is just a giant budget package that will be basically our tax policy for the next 10 years. Um, they want to extend Trump's tax cuts and add new tax cuts, and they want to cut a bunch of our programs. We've heard about that. And they want to pretend it's not going to add to the deficit by using this math fudge called current policy baseline. It's a little in the weeds, but it's a very messed up thing. So that vote is happening right now for the budget resolution, but it's going to go on for the next couple of weeks. And then we have Social Security, and we have the disappearances of student protesters who were just using their right to free speech. We have all
Mhm.
this, the tariff, no tariff, the stock manipulation. It's really important that you just stay loud. I know people feel like, well, I called this week once already. So, but like, call every day. The only thing we have going for us is that Republican lawmakers really are terrified about how upset their constituents are. They may not
Correct.
tell you that. They may pretend in public, oh, I'm totally behind Donald Trump. I love him. He's great. But believe me, I hear this from the indivisible leaders. I've heard it from you. Like, see, privately, they are like, this is very bad. We're going to get destroyed in 2026. And, my constituents are pissed. So we need to keep that noise up all the time, constant. Next week, they're on recess again because all they do apparently is take recess. They're going to be coming home to their districts. Republican lawmakers are, for the most part, not going to do town halls because those have been going so badly for them. But see if you can find out where they're going to be. If they're going to be doing a fundraiser and it's not super expensive, see if you can go. See if you know where they're going to be at a whatever. Sometimes they'll go to like a picnic or some local event. Find out. And if you do, go and ask them, why are you allowing Donald Trump and Doge to gut Social Security? What are you doing to stop the budget cuts there? Or, any number of questions. But we have to really, they call it bird dogging. I mean, you know what bird dogging is, Scott, but just like harass, 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 harass. I mean, we're not going to be rude or mean. I mean, we shouldn't be, but never let them get a moment's rest from the fact that they have completely abdicated their responsibility to their constituents and to the Constitution. Those words should be hitting them every minute of every day because they have. And then, of course, there are more protests coming up. You want to keep going to the Tesla takedowns. You want to plan to go on the 19th to the next hands off march. And I know we're all tired and we would all like a break, but like we don't get one right now. That's just the way it is.
Right.
If we want to fight this, we got to keep showing up in the streets and, give money to the organizations that are doing the really hard
Mhm.
work right now, the ACLU and, whatever other organizations, Democracy Forward. There are some organizations that are suing every day to stop what Trump is doing, ACLU being a big one. We need to stand with them. So I don't know, is that helpful? I mean, those are some things. Subscribe to my
Absolutely.
newsletter. I'll give you stuff every day.
Absolutely. And um I always people are get annoyed by this. It's like I'm like, all right, send letters. It's a great way for people to get their feet wet, right? And
Yep.
so send letters, emails, and then I follow up with an email saying, all right, make a call. And they're
Yeah.
like, wait. And I'm like, no, you can do this. Um, so but it's like letters, calls. Another great tactic if you uh, have made your calls already, is responding to on social media to your rep,
Oh, yeah.
to senators, and with I'm one of your vote, like in voicing what you would say on the phone. That bothers them. They're
Yep.
reading those notifications. They're not getting a ton. Not everybody's getting the notifications that Elon Musk is getting or anything. A lot of them get like 100 likes on a tweet or
Yep.
something like that. So that is a super effective way, and that they worry about. I don't know what, I mean, I get it, but like they're like, oh no, like I'm gonna. And then if you do it every single day or every single tweet, like they start to get worried, and they're like who can, let's call this person or set up a meeting, or how can we stop this, or they block you, and then that makes a bigger deal.
Yeah. Then you post a
And
screenshot of that. Yeah. Oh, Josh
exactly.
Hawley blocked Kathy. Wow, Kathy, that's amazing. Josh Hawley blocking you is a real badge of pride. I think that's great.
Uh, I'm sure he didn't run away from her.
Yeah.
This like
Yeah.
he did that one day. I mean, that's I'll be talking to Fanone. I just talked to Harry Dunn. Harry Dunn's become a great friend ever since. These heroes. I mean, I'm talking about on my birthday. I think we had just this is so much name dropping, it makes me sick. But we were at the White House for this briefing before the I think it was 2019. I'm not welcome, or no, wait, no, 2023. Jeez, I
State of the
wasn't
Union?
welcome at the White House in 2019. I'm saying he should be arrested for treason. Um, anyways, and so we go to this birthday, this Irish pub by Union Station, and I remember Harry Dunn walks in. Um, and he's just like, people are like clapping. This happened to me once, one time other in my life, and it was in 2000 and either early 2002 or late 2001. I was in New York City in Little Italy, and Rudy Giuliani walks in, and the entire room explodes. Like they're
Yeah.
clapping for him. He's with his mistress, or whatever he was doing. Um, but it just, these people are heroes, and then you have the disgusting threats and craziness, um, that they're getting. I remember right after when Harry was dealing with this, before he became, became a person who ran for office, and a thought leader, and really, obviously a person on Substack that really has a great voice. Check him out. Um, it just was, they didn't have much support. Like they didn't have much people having their backs, and things like that. And they really had to come on their own. Fanone and him, they clearly are on Substack now, and they're still really loud, obviously. But I was curious, and you don't have to talk about it, obviously, if you have to face these sort of things as well, um, or if you've been able to insulate yourself away from any kind of MAGA nonsense where they try and intimidate or stop you from doing what you're doing.
I mean, I haven't. No, I think I fly under the radar. For one thing, I block very aggressively. I have no interest in having MAGAs anywhere near me because I don't consider them to be safe personalities.
Right.
Um, I think also part of it has to do with being a middle-aged woman. I think that troll they tend to just sort of not even be able to see people, women of my age, which is a great sort of like an invisibility cloak with which I feel I can do all kinds of good. So I get some of it, but they'll tend to be, they'll make like the occasional ageist comment, but not so much. And I think that's a combination again of the blocking, and also like I will take them down. Like if I get a comment from a troll, calling me stupid, which I did, for example, yesterday, I made a post about tariffs. And so I did a response post, and I think I really cleaned his clock. It was a lot of fun. So I don't think that they like to draw attention to themselves with me all that much, but
Right.
also, yeah, I think that I've wondered about that because I'm like, my feeds are actually mostly really very friendly.
Hmm.
And I think that that is a combination of the fact that I'm a middle-aged woman, and also that I block, and I don't know why else, you know. But so far so good. I do worry about that sometimes, but like, whatever, man. You got to fight for your country.
Yeah, I get it in reverse. I get these weird ones where they're like, "Why would you do this to us, man? Why would you turn on us?" You know,
Yeah,
as a white dude from
yeah,
the South and the Midwest, why would you do, like, you're one of, don't you want to come over to ours? And I'm like, you're literally the embodiment of what I call a political evil right now. And they're like, I just don't understand why you have to be, so like that. And I'm like, this guy over there is telling people to hurt us. Like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
And this is so, I used to, during the investigation, like when I used to investigate him and report on the news and things like that about that, every single day, hundreds of threats,
Oof.
explicit threats. Outside of old houses, there was one dude who went outside of a house and took a picture of a lighter outside of it, saying he was going to burn it down with me and my family inside of it.
Oof.
There were times where I had to go into hiding, where they thought that the threat was viable enough, where people were trying to kill me. And that was a hard thing to, it's still a hard thing to say, hard thing to deal with.
Mm.
People didn't like the fact that Putin doesn't like being looked into. He doesn't like being broadcast. At that time, I was one of the most vocal people on the internet, um, especially on Twitter. And, the same thing, I used the same thing after Russia, and things like that. Thankfully, we had people like Alison Gill and others come along. But after that, I did the same thing with COVID. There's studies that show, uh, me, and they compare me and Trump in regards to our reach on Twitter and how we used it to, he was anti-mask, obviously anti-vaccine, and I pushed these things about scrambled eggs or bacon, like make a breakfast choice, and then I pushed the vaccines, but the numbers behind it were in the billions in regards to the
Jeez.
reach online. And so I find it fascinating that like you for years have done this hard work. I mean, it's a constant pound, and it's like what happened in this election, and it's thank I am so thankful that you're there, that you exist, like you were made for this. This is exactly what people are hungry for, as shown by subscriptions right now. Make sure that you subscribe to. You can see it right there, I believe. Make sure that you hit the subscription button to subscribe to Jess's Substack right now. Become a paid subscriber if you can. Gift a subscription if you're already a subscriber to her. Um, anyways, sorry, I had to do a short plug.
Yeah, I hear that.
But it's just, it's like the right place, right time. And I felt that before when I was investigating and no one else was doing their job. These are simple Google searches, you know what I mean? At the it started as, and then it went further and deeper and whatnot. And all of a sudden you're a journalist, and I'm like, I thought I was just gonna run campaigns. Like I don't know what are
Yeah.
you talking about,
Yeah.
journalists? And I was like, I guess I'll take it. But the long story short is the power of the internet. Like, did you ever think that the the audience would get this wide? I mean, I think you've doubled subscriptions in like a month or two, right? Like
Yeah.
it's booming right now. Like your top 20 on Substack in regards to the rising U.S. politics publications for the past week since the rankings started coming out. Um, like, and there's tens of thousands or however many, like it's pretty exciting. I'm excited to know you. I'm excited for your success, because what you're doing is so important. It's so hard and meticulous, and we don't, obviously, you and I, we've had typos before in our life. Oopsies. We don't have 50 editors that are behind us all the time. But like, how do you keep going? Then I'll let you go because we're almost in an hour. But
Yeah.
how do you keep going with this work? I mean, like it's people feel me. I know they do you, but like, what is it that drives you to do this? Because I mean, it really is. It's inspirational. When I feel down, I go watch one of your videos or something like that. Whenever I'm doubting something, like I look for inspiration. I check that out, and you always have been there, and it's just like pound. And I know people see me do that, but like it doesn't. It's different in regards to how Jess presents it. It really inspires me. So like, how do you keep going and pushing through? Sorry for that long
No.
meandering.
I mean, that was very nice of you. Thank you. I mean, I think really honestly, I am a very fortunate person in that I have the right set of skills at the right moment. Like what I am able to bring to this just happens to be right for this moment. Like I've spent my
Right.
most of my life going, I'm not really sure exactly what I'm supposed to do with like the combination of things I have. And
Right.
Trump got elected and suddenly I found my calling. So if you're someone who hasn't found yours yet, I was 48 when he got elected, or 47. So um but I've been through some very rough stuff in my life, which is fine. But it's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot of coping mechanisms for going through really difficult times. Um, and so I'm happy to share those. And it's just a confluence of things. I'm really lucky because I am now getting to do this thing that I would never have been able to figure out in a million lifetimes. That is the perfect thing for me to be doing. And I really enjoy it. I love it. So while the moment is really hard, I feel like I can be useful. And I'm sure anybody who
Right.
is useful in their life knows that that's the best feeling, is to feel like you're useful to people. Um, and I really enjoy it. And also, I drink very, very large, strong cups of tea. So
Hmm.
it's a combination of caffeine and just sort of being in the right place at the right time. And having a very loyal cat named Walter who's with me basically all the time.
Maybe Thomas would get along. I have a white cat named Thomas who
Yeah.
is does not like people at all,
Oh,
like
really?
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I take these pictures of him being very calm, and it's a complete fabrication because then I'll show pictures of him not calm. He really likes to attack grass and things
Oh
like
wow.
that.
Yeah.
But he's not a very nice cat.
Oh, Walter is very nice. He's the nicest.
But
He's just very, very friendly. Here he is. Here's Walter
yeah,
for
there's
his
lots
fans.
of demand for showing Walter again.
Yeah. I use him on TikTok sometimes just because when I was trying to make a lot of abortion related content before the election, and we can close with this, but I was getting so badly suppressed for saying the word abortion. I was trying an experiment where I had one of these this one says incest. Sorry. I have a whole set of these that I was using on TikTok that have words rape. Oh God, sorry. I'm trying to find abortion, murder. Anyway, they have to be written in script because the AI won't recognize the script and then you have to write it backwards. So I've got a whole stack of them because before the election, I mean, TikTok fully interfered in the election. If you want to know who interfered, they suppressed everything that could possibly construed as liberal. But I would bring Walter on because if the algorithm sees a cat, sometimes it'll. Anyway, sorry for flashing all those terrible cards. I was trying to. Oh, sorry, Walter. Oh, sorry. I just hurt his tail.
It was a genuine moment.
Yeah, it sure was.
It's a realistic take. I mean, you and I have some of the more positive outtakes, outlooks, or whatever you want. Like we know we've been through some stuff uh, before, and so I agree with you. Like it's you just like it's I don't I call it like a plow. Like you,
Yes.
I remember, and my editor Sam's on here somewhere. Um, Election night, you know. At some point there was that call where it's like the numbers, it is an impossibility. Like it was the time, I think it was 3 a.m. or something like that, where just there was nothing that could be that kind of point of no return of like shit, like you
Yeah.
just stop. And I remember it just I knew, I remembered from 2016 when we started real early in 2016 of like this is lies are gonna like hurt people. And I just remembered, I was like, the less work we do now, the more damage he can do. And so we got straight to work. We had never pushed against nominations for cabinet positions before, not that hard. Um, and when I saw the first one being Matt Gaetz,
Yeah. I
as
was just like,
someone who
oh,
I've had personal issues with in the past for years, I was like, no, like, I love you, Canada. I love you. I really do. I don't want to leave this country, though. I don't want, like, and that guy being as Attorney General, I'd be like, nah, no, this is a person who I'd be on that list for sure. I just want to thank everybody for stepping up immediately and pushing back against him. We didn't get anybody else out, but we definitely all highlighted that, how horrible the rest of the nominees were and educated people about that. Um, uh, anyways, I one of the reasons why we did that is because of your continued action, and so um, I want to genuinely thank you for everything you do. People are asking, I've seen it like 15 times in the last few seconds. Chop wood, carry water is the name.
yeah. Let
Okay.
me see if I can write it in the chat. Can I do that? Chop wood, carry water, daily actions. I mean, it'll fly right by in the chat, so I'm not really sure how much good that's going to do. It's chop wood, carry water, daily actions.substack.com.
Right.
It's weird that there's not a way to just like, yeah, put this in here. But anyway, Scott, thank you for having me.
I
I'm just
appreciate it.
gonna I just wrote the name of the newsletter. I didn't write the dot Substack because it's too hard. But thanks for having me. And if any of my people jumped on, subscribe to Scott. He is also amazing, really amazing. And I love these talks. We should do this more often. It's fun talking to you. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll just see what the next days bring. But stay in the day, y'all. That's my recommendation. Let's take it a day at a time. And we are. I feel that I'm given the courage to deal with the day I'm in, so I can't manufacture courage for a future event. I can only find courage in the day I'm in. So today, with all of you, I feel very courageous. So
Feet on the ground, look around you, see where you're at. Feel lucky that Trump's not in the room with you.
that's
And
right.
it's because you smoke Cheetos. And anyways, uh, Yes, we will do this again soon. And thanks you to the thousands of people who have joined us. If you missed the rest of this conversation, I'll be posting the rest of it or all of it so that you can check it out. And there'll be links to Jessica's Substack as well. So thank you very much for joining me. And Jessica, I appreciate it. Onward.
Onward, indeed. See you soon. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for